Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Family.Church.
Online.
Oh, good job.
I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say post-Thanksgiving special.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm still full.
I know. Like, we have so many leftovers in our fridge, and I want to eat them, but I don't know how many times I can eat
I don't know how anybody makes turkeys like every year.
So this is our first year
of making a turkey.
Making a turkey, but we didn't just make a turkey.
We smoked the turkey.
It. Yeah.
And
I say we, but it was...
You did nothing. I was up at 3 a.m.
I was the moral support.
Yeah. But I was just worried about making everybody sick. Like, that was my biggest fear, was I was going to give everybody in the family food poisoning.
But we all feel okay right now.
We did, and you know, I don't think anybody got sick and died and nothing like that, so it's good. So what did you do for Thanksgiving? Did you eat too much food? Like, I know I did.
But, you know, it's just so good.
So good.
And we only get it once a year, so
yeah,
let's go for it.
Well, after my first nice sized plate, I was full. After my second full-size plate,
you were very full.
I was miserable. After my third helping of dessert, I thought I was going to die.
Third helping. Anyway,
it's holiday season.
Yeah, I know. We're right here. We're past Thanksgiving. Now it's all Christmas for the next however many days. What, 30 days till Christmas?
I know. Yep.
30, 29, something like that.
Bah humbug, right? No. I do like your shirt.
I know, so I'm repping my Christmas. So now we can put the Christmas tree up. It's past Thanksgiving.
No, that's like
official.
No, you put it up on Christmas Eve.
No, that's too much work. We're going to be home on Christmas Eve.
Then let's not put one up.
Anyways, we've already watched Home Alone. We watched it on Thanksgiving night.
Yeah,
so,
we did.
We're officially into the holiday movies in our house.
Yes, the kids want to watch every single one of them.
Yeah. It's like 10 of them, I think. So.
But we're here at church.
We are.
And we're having a great day.
Yes.
And we have so much going on right now that we had to make notes.
We made notes. So you might want to pull out a piece of paper, a pencil, or your phone real quick if you're not watching it on here. But we have some announcements to get through because they're all very important and you need to know.
You need to know all of them.
What's happening.
So let's start with the giving tree.
Okay.
December 11th.
So if you're looking for a way to serve or give back this Christmas, we have a giving tree out in our cafe. This giving tree, if you don't know what it is, has tags on it with needs from kids around our community and in our church. So you can grab a tag, write down which one you're taking, bring all that back by December 11th, wrapped and ready to go.
Ready to roll. We don't want to wrap it.
We don't want to wrap it.
We don't want to buy batteries for it.
You can pay someone to wrap it for you if you want.
Yeah, and all these families are in the community, right?
Yeah, and some are in our church. So it's a really fun way to give back this Christmas.
It's nice to help, help some kids have a better Christmas.
We had one family reach out to us, and they were just so thankful that we also received a Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah. And we're helping them with Christmas, and they just said, thank you. Without you guys, we wouldn't have Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Hey, so we've been there before
we have.
It was tight, so.
It's awesome to be the hands and feet.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely.
And then we have
the kids' Christmas play.
Yay! That's exciting. They do such a great job.
Our daughter's in it, so we love watching her. She's so fun.
She was fun.
But they're it's like a spy theme this year.
Oh, how cool is that?
Spy.
I love it.
I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's got a spy theme to it.
And the people that lead our Christmas play, Danielle, they've been doing it for so long. Yeah. And they've got it down to a science. And these kids work their butt off. I mean,
they work every Sunday night.
So when did they start? They started practice back in
beginning of September.
Yeah. Yeah. And they practice pretty much every Sunday except for like this Sunday they don't have practice, the holidays stuff. Right. But they put a lot of work, a lot of time into this.
Like a lot of lines I couldn't memorize.
Oh, I couldn't. I was always that kid up on stage that just sat there and stared out like, what am I doing?
But we're very proud of our kids team that put this together. So if you would like to come and support our kids, we have 2 showings. The first one's going to be on Friday the 16th at 6:30.
Yep.
And then we have another one on Saturday the 17th at 2 p.m. And it's all right here at Faith Family.
Yeah.
So feel free to grab a friend.
I think they have like cookies and punch afterwards, something like that.
Cookies and we'll get together afterwards.
So even if you don't have a kid, but you're connected to our church, I mean, come support these guys. And there's a lot of kids in it.
And you can always guarantee that you're going to laugh.
Yes,
that's
so good.
There are kids involved. You just don't know what's going to happen. And it's always a great time.
There's been some great stories.
Absolutely.
And then, to wrap up Christmas.
So Christmas is on a Sunday this year.
It is. It's on a Sunday morning.
I think it's such a special thing.
It is. That like randomly happens like every so often.
Right.
There's no pattern to it.
No, there's not. I think the next one's not until like 11 years from now.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or it's something weird. But so this year it's on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
However, we are having a Christmas Eve service. So this is December 23rd.
Yeah, it's on Friday night.
So we're gonna have two services at 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Those are gonna be our Christmas services.
Yeah.
We're gonna go all out. It's gonna be a great time.
And that way, on Christmas, you can spend time with your family.
Yeah.
You can open presents, sit around and eat breakfast together, and then tune in as we do our online Christmas special.
Yeah, so we'll be online only on Christmas Day at 10 a.m. So you can gather the whole family, you can stay in your PJs, you have milk and cookies, and you can join us for a really special service.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
So tell your friends, tell grandma, grandpa, whoever, come hang out with us on December 23rd, and then we can, as we're all traveling or with our families on Christmas Day, we can still kind of be together from far away.
And we still have, services coming Sunday and every Sunday in December besides Christmas. So we'd like to invite you out. Our services are at 8:30, 10, and 11:30 every Sunday morning. And I know this time of year, I need Jesus more than any other. I mean, I need Jesus every day.
The winter blues is a real thing.
But that and just holidays are a lot sometimes. I mean,
families are a lot. If my family's watching, I love you. I love you so much.
But we encourage you, and we'd like to invite you to come out and join us in services.
Yeah.
And speaking of services, are you ready?
All right, let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
We're going to worship together this morning. We're going to sing it out. The words are, as the Spirit was moving. As the Spirit was moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. As the Spirit was moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. Come down, Spirit, when you move it, make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. Come down, Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. on, make that your prayer this morning. You're all we want, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, come rest on us. You're all we want. You're all we want. You're all we want. Oh, you're all we want. Yeah. Your love is devoted, like a ring of solid gold, like a vow that is tested, like a covenant of old. Your love is enduring through the winter rain and beyond the horizon, with mercy for today. Faithful you have been, faithful you will be. You pledge yourself to me, and it's why I sing. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Can't go back to the beginning. Can't control what tomorrow will bring. But I know here in the middle is the place where you promised to be. Not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? As I walk now through the valley, let your love rise above every fear. Like the sun shaping the shadow, in my weakness your glory appears. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here Not for a minute was I forsaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Come, Holy Spirit, dry bones awaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Not for a minute was I forsaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Come, Holy Spirit, dry bones awaken. The Lord is in this place. Oh, the Lord is in this Oh, your presence fills this room. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet us here again? Oh, 'cause all I want come, will you meet me here again? Oh, 'cause all you are is all I want. Will you meet me here again? Faithful God. Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me yet. I know the night won't last. Your word will come to pass. promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me yet. Yeah, you never fail me yet. You're always faithful, always faithful. Oh, you're always faithful. Jesus. Father God, we are so thankful for your faithfulness, that you never fail. You never fail, God. And that we can trust you with everything, with every single thing, the little things and the really big hard things, God, that you've got them all. That you've got them all. And so we lay them out before your feet, God, surrendering all the challenges and all the burdens and all the difficult things, God. And we trust you. Nothing else, God. All our hope, all our trust, all our faith in you, the one who never fails. Thank you for this, God, in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Well, thanks so much for worshiping with us this morning. If you would, turn around and greet somebody, tell them that you're happy to see them this morning.
Welcome to Faith Family Church. I'm Sarah, and I'm so happy to see you today. If this is your first time with us, we would love for you to fill out a Connect card located at Guest Central in the cafe or through the FFC app. Either way, we would love to meet you and to give you a gift just to say welcome. Here at FFC, we like for you to stay connected throughout the week just as much as you are here today. You can connect with us online at faithfamily.life, our FFC app, and all of your favorite social media. Here's what's coming up here at Faith Family Church. Here at FFC, we are constantly striving to reach a hurting world, and whether that is through the community outreach, the mission field, or our local church. If you would like to partner with us, we have a few easy ways to give. You can give online at faithfamily.life, you can use the FFC app, or you can use the black boxes on the way out to give by cash or check. Thank you again for giving faithfully to our church. Now let's prepare our hearts for today's message.
Journey of prayer, a journey of faith, a journey of generosity, a journey of growth, and ultimately that journey began as just a big desire to see more people come to know Jesus, and so we just had a heart to see people grow in their relationship with God, to see young people and older people alike connect with the family of God and come into be a part of serving our community with us. And I just think God has done so much in us and through us. There's lots to celebrate. We've heard so many stories of real life change, God transforming people's lives, younger people, older people, everyone in between. And so 5 years ago, many of us made pledges for the Reach campaign. And recently, a few people were talking, and we're asking what was our original pledge, and so I wanted to just mention this to you. We made pledges, commitments to trust God, to make sacrifices, and give to make this new building possible. And those commitments totaled $386,338. That was our pledges. And I just remember at the time thinking, that is an outrageous number. That seems so impossible. In fact, the number of people pledging and I just thought, man, that's probably impossible. It would take God doing, lots and lots of miracles for that to even be, practical at all, right? And so today we're bearing down on that number, and I'm excited to let you know we've raised $339,974 to date. That's pretty phenomenal, right? Let's give God some praise for that. That's first of all. We just want to celebrate by taking just a moment to say thank you to each and every person and family who's helped us get where we are today. I want to take just a moment to honor maybe a number of you who were a part of that time with God and with each other 5 years ago when we made those pledges. And I just want to take a moment to think about how this journey of faith started. And it was actually Thanksgiving 5 years ago that we kind of wrapped up our Reach series, and we were excited about what God could do. And at that time, it was all just a big dream. It was all just a huge vision that seemed unattainable. It seemed, practically impossible. But I just want to personally thank every single person who's given faithfully, every person and family who have served so faithfully over the last number of years, every leader and every friend of our church that I can just say honestly, we would not be here without you. And I know that even in this 8:30 service, it seems like, there's just a small portion of us compared to, our whole church. But I want you to realize this morning that we have been sowing seeds and trusting God for things that are way bigger than we are. And we've been seeing God come through at every turn. And that's exciting. That's worth celebrating. That's worth talking about this morning. So I want to draw your attention to a few scriptures this morning. In Nehemiah chapter 12, verse 27 is where we'll begin. And it just says this: Now at the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sought out the Levites in all their places to bring them to Jerusalem to celebrate the dedication with gladness, both with thanksgivings and singing, with cymbals and stringed instruments and harps. And so if you can imagine how they gathered to celebrate and dedicate what God had done, but I want you to just imagine what it's going to be like when, in so many months, when we get to come together in our new auditorium and celebrate and dedicate and thank God. And I'll just tell you now, we're going to invite anyone and everyone who's ever had any small part in what God has done. And we're going to just like they did here, we're going to gather anyone and everyone that we possibly can who's had even the smallest of parts. And we're going to celebrate together. We're going to honor the people that God has used to get us to this point, and we're going to celebrate God's faithfulness as we dedicate that facility. And so I want you just to imagine and believe with me and think with me and dream with me for a moment that time is not too far from now, right? And I want you to see we've come a long way, and we've still got a little bit of ways to go, but we can do it. Right? We can persevere all the different challenges that we have, all the things that have come against us, all the setbacks and all the difficulties and all the barriers and times where we wanted to just throw our hands up. At least I did, and say, God, what is this all about? Why is this not easy? I thought you called us to do this. Where are you? Right? And we've talked about that the last few weeks, but just to be able to say, no, God has been faithful all along. We've certainly been on an emotional roller coaster at times, right? I don't know about you in your life, but I've been in mine and certainly this building process. But I want you to see, first of all, I am thankful for God's faithfulness. God's faithfulness, especially during this Thanksgiving season, is worth talking about, is worth celebrating. God has been so gracious. He's been so good to us. He's led us and guided us. I just want you to think back in the course of your life how God has been faithful to you. Has God been helpful to you? Has God been there when you needed Him most? Has God led you and guided you along a path, even though at times you didn't know what the purpose was or what the end result would be? But God all along had a specific and wonderful and awesome plan for you. And we get to be a part of that, even when we throw our hands up every now and then. Even when we doubt and question and get discouraged at times, we get to be a part of God's amazing plans on this earth. And the fact that God sent His only Son, Jesus, right, to die on a cruel cross so that we could have eternal and abundant life, that is absolutely amazing. That's worth celebrating. That's that sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross is worth our thanks. It's worth our time and attention and gratitude. Right? So at every turn, God has provided for the needs of our church. I believe that at every turn, God's provided for your needs. You say, well, Pastor Shane, you don't know all the difficult things that I've been through, but I absolutely believe that if you've honored God and trusted God, He has shown up big in your life time and time again. And I don't have to know your whole story to know that God's been faithful to you just as He's been faithful to me, right? God has brought the right people to the right places at the right times. I believe that's true of your life and my life, but it's certainly true of the journey of our church. God has empowered amazing people to serve faithfully so that we could enjoy the ministries and the life-giving atmosphere and ministries of our church. God has given us wisdom beyond our years. I can go back and mark all different times where God has helped us with wisdom that we didn't know exactly how to move forward, but God gave us wisdom to navigate difficult things, and that wisdom turned out to be the exact thing that God would use to take care of us and guard us and bless us, right? And I want you to see that wisdom has been available to you, and when you've accessed it and applied that wisdom to your own life, I'm sure you have testimonies just like I do about how God's wisdom has helped you at all different times. Knowledge beyond our experience. In other words, we'd never been here before at all different times throughout the life of our church, where I could say honestly, at 27 years old, becoming the pastor of our church, I'd never been there before. Right? And I made plenty of mistakes, but God gave me knowledge beyond my experience and wisdom beyond my years. And all of us. Nehemiah 12 verse 31 says, "So I brought the leaders of Judah up on the wall and appointed 2 large Thanksgiving choirs." Now I want you just to imagine for a moment. Imagine yourself, imagine all of us being invited by Nehemiah to be part of this Thanksgiving choir, right? And I would say that Nehemiah wanted to make sure that the people that were a part of this Thanksgiving choir actually knew and were grateful and thankful to God and not just putting on a face, right? And so I just imagine us being invited to this Thanksgiving choir, and that's really what this season means and what it looks like, that we've been invited to this, to play this part, to be a part of this Thanksgiving choir, to really honor God, to really, truly think about what God has done and give Him the praise and glory He deserves. Basically, the leaders were invited to be part of this journey around the top of the wall. They stopped at every gate and every important place. They stopped. They paused. They took minutes and maybe even hours to describe in detail and give honor and thanks for what God had done. If you can imagine this Thanksgiving journey, or this Thanksgiving choir, so to speak, it took time for them to stop and honor God. And I want you to realize that there is an aspect, a sacrifice of praise. There's an aspect of taking time keeps us from moving on into whatever is ahead, or whatever's going on, or whatever feels or seems important to us, that we need to put that stuff on hold for a moment and actually go on this journey where we stop at I want to encourage you and challenge you, at every point of your life where God showed up. It's in times and seasons like this where you actually take a moment and stop and begin to rehearse and detail and remember and talk about God's faithfulness. Now, I'd like to encourage you, if you haven't already, to implement something like this in your family. Maybe you do it, around Thanksgiving dinner, or maybe it's after Thanksgiving, or maybe it's just, on an off time or evening where you just gather your family together and you say, hey, we're just going to take a few minutes to talk about God's faithfulness. Let's just stop. Let's just put everything else on hold for a moment. Let's just begin to remember how God has shown up on behalf of our family. Maybe, in your kids' lives, how has God been showing up in your life? Maybe your parents, would describe God's faithfulness. There's something really cool, especially as I get older, about my parents, and I've got a few grandparents that are living. I love to hear them tell stories of just their own life and different things about how God worked with them. And so those stories mean so much to me, right? And I believe that the stories that we recount as parents, they mean a lot to our kids. Our kids haven't had the opportunity yet to have as much life experience, but if they can see and hear and be reminded of God's faithfulness, that will help them to navigate the tough things in their own lives. So they're on this tour around the wall, and they stop at every gate and every point to recount God's faithfulness. And they were singing God's praises all the way around the wall. They were identifying God's goodness, God's graciousness, God's faithfulness. They were looking back. They were boldly declaring how God had been there, how God had helped them, how God had empowered them, how God had given them grace, caused them to overcome. Psalm 9 verse 1 says, I will praise you, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will tell of all your marvelous works. And so I just want you to, even this morning, to begin to recount the marvelous works that God has done in your life, in your family, certainly in the life of our church. I'm thankful for Jesus this morning. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for salvation. Listen, I know life is difficult, and I know that there's all different challenges, and there's crazy things going on in our world, but listen, we have been saved by God himself through his son, Jesus Christ. That's worth talking about. That's worth being thankful for. I'm thankful for God's amazing grace. I'm thankful that at every turn I didn't deserve his grace, but his grace abounds toward me. I'm thankful for all the people that have come to know Jesus. Even in the last several years, in the life of our church, people that have come to know the goodness of God, have come to know the faithfulness of God. Because our church just genuinely loves people and reaches out to people. I'm thankful for the lives that have been transformed. I'm thankful for all different folks. And this week I just took some time to recount some different things that I've seen and noticed, and even memories that I've had that I hadn't thought about in a good while. I'm thankful for the lives. I'm thankful for the marriages that God has restored. Listen, relationships are tough. There's all different challenges that are coming at us at every turn, and God is faithful to help us and work with us. And I'm thankful for all the answered prayers. I'm thankful for times that we've called on the name of the Lord for for ourselves or our loved ones or people that we care about, and God has shown up. I'm thankful for the fact that our prayers still arrive and at God's presence, that our prayers don't just go up and hit a wall and come back at us, right? I'm thankful for all the ones that God has radically rescued from darkness, placed them in the light, grafted them into God's family and to our faith family. I think about people that have been acquaintances or been friends that have become part of our church family. And it's so cool to see God working and moving in their lives. Psalm 26 verse 7 says, that I may proclaim with the voice of thanksgiving and tell of all your wondrous works. I think that's pretty amazing. God has done some wonderful works. He's protected us. Some of us have been protected beyond what we even realize. In other words, you thought it was challenging or you thought it was bad, but it could have been way, way worse. But God protected you. God has protected us. God has provided for us. And I don't know all the ways that God has specifically provided for you, but I want to encourage you as I share a few things that God would remind your heart of how God has provided for you. God has blessed us through His presence throughout the years. Certainly in our services, in our worship, in our times of sharing God's Word, God has shown up big. His presence has been known and strong among us. But even before and after service, as people are talking and building relationship, or after service, different folks are praying together and talking and building connection and relationship, God's presence is real and strong. There's times, and I know, especially in the 8:30 service, a lot of you like to sneak in and sneak out, and that's all right. But there's times throughout most Sundays before and after service where it's just a buzz in this room, right? I know before 8:30 there's not a whole lot of buzz, right? It's early. People are just like, let me get some coffee. Let me try to open my eyes a little bit. But as the day goes on, and I want you to realize, especially you that have been a part of 8:30 services consistently, y'all have helped set the stage for that. Y'all bring the presence of God with you. You help to set the atmosphere for God to work and move. And even after some of you are on to other things, or you're eating brunch, or you're visiting with family, there's things that you're on to, but God is still working and moving through our praise and through our worship and through our priority of putting Him first. God has given us a tremendous heart for our community. I think it's worth noting. I think it's worth thanking God for. And that heart isn't just in one or two of us. It really is throughout the life of our church, that so many different people, they genuinely care. They genuinely feel called to what God is doing. They feel called to make sure that this gospel that we're talking about, this good news, that it doesn't just end with us, that it goes on to our neighbors, to our friends, to the people of our community, certainly to the next generation. So He's given us the ability to serve and to make a difference for Jesus here in Wilmington and across the Clinton County community. I was just thinking about all the way back to the picnic in the park, all the way back to block party outreaches, Be the Church Days, Hope Over Heroin. We've hosted all different events and concerts, even right here in this auditorium. And I was just thinking this may be our last Thanksgiving to have Sunday morning services in here. But what's going to happen is we're going to continue to reach lots of different people, even through this space, especially young people. It's going to open up, because we're going to be meeting in our new auditorium. It's going to open up this facility to reach even more kids and youth. And that's exciting to me. But things like we hosted the band Oak for an outreach service on a Sunday morning, Masters Commission, Jamie Grace, Natalie Runyon, the Power Team, Jubilee Gang, VBSs, right? Lots of VBSs and hundreds of kids, in this building, right? Tearing everything up, and we love it. You know, lots of finale nights where dodgeballs are bouncing around and drywall's getting busted and, you know, light covers are coming down. But, you know, because we're utilizing our facility to reach people. This isn't just a place that we come to look or spectate. This is a facility where we invite God to use us to reach people. And so we've seen God do so many great things. We have lots of great memories and great times where God moved and showed up. Psalm 79 verse 13 says, "So we, your people and sheep of your pasture, will give you thanks forever. We will show forth your praise to all generations." I love this. We will show forth your praise to all generations. And I was just recounting, you know, for more than 25 years, our church has been ministering to lots of people of every age, but I was just thinking about, we've been ministering to kids from nursery through 5th grade every Sunday morning during services for more than 25 years. That's pretty phenomenal. That's over 3,000 hours of children's ministry. That's pretty cool. Now, if you break that up, actually, it's over 15,000 hours of ministering to babies and toddlers and preschoolers and kindergartners and elementary age kids. We've loved kids through all kinds of hurt, through all kinds of different family issues, tough behavioral issues. We've shared the love of Jesus with hundreds and hundreds of kids over the years. And together, I want you to realize we've made a major investment in the generations to come. In fact, we've begun to see those generations that we've poured into are now growing up to be the leaders of a lot of these different ministries. And I want you to realize one of those kids was Brian Fleeman, who was in elementary during those early years. He met his wife Stephanie through our youth ministry. Stephanie's Janen's cousin, for those of you who don't know them very well. But I'm pretty sure that Janen probably brought them to youth at some point. And I don't know the whole story, but they now have 3 amazing girls, and Brian serves on our executive team as our board treasurer. One of the original church babies, she's over here this morning, Danielle Armstrong. I remember before Amy and I even had kids, before Blake and Chloe and Grace were even around, Amy could not wait to hold Danielle in the nursery. And Amy and I showed up to serve and to help children's ministry, youth ministry, did a lot of different behind-the-scenes stuff in those years. And I was just thinking, over the last several years, Danielle has been, you know, just growing and learning and loving Jesus, serving Jesus all along, but especially the last several years, she's been involved more and more in the leadership of our children's ministry and now leading the FFC Kids Department. And I think about, you know, Danielle represents a baby who was loved on and encouraged in the nursery, growing up to serve Jesus and love Jesus and lead, and now she's leading our team to invest in our kids. And that's phenomenal and awesome. I was thinking about people like Shane and Megan, who were leading worship up here this morning. I don't know if you realize this or knew, but Shane and Megan, who were in the middle, they're brother and sister. And sometimes you wonder, man, how those voices blend so well, because they're from the same womb. And if you know their mom, Mindy, she's incredible. She's loved on them and brought them to church as young people. Megan was in one of those first kids' Christmas programs, and she would sing a little bit, and he would say, man, that girl, someday she's gonna honor God with that voice. And it's amazing what God has done. But Mindy moved away to go to Bible college, and eventually their whole family moved back in this area and are heavily involved in the ministries of our church. Jeremiah, who was on guitar this morning, was their younger brother. And so I just think about, for more than 25 years, we've been reaching kids, and you know, those examples are just a few little examples, but there's lots and lots of kids who have come to know Jesus through our children's ministry that are both here and all over the nation and the world. Brian's brother Sean is in China as a missionary as we speak this morning, and we support him and pray for him and him and his wife. So lots of things that God is up to. But I was just thinking about this. For more than 23 years, almost as long, we've hosted weekly ministry to teenagers. We're one of the few churches in our entire community that have a consistent, thriving youth ministry. Over the years, hundreds of young people have connected with Jesus, have built lifelong friendships, have learned eternal truths that continue to serve them in their lives and work and families. I was thinking about for the last 15 years, we've been taking more and more young people to Impact Summer Camp. And that's been life-changing for every student and every leader that has gone. The last 10 years, we've also taken students to Fall Retreat, which happened this past weekend. Fuels young people's faith, fuels the faith of every leader that's involved. Makes an eternal investment in the next generation. Many of you are a part of that, either with your kids or grandkids, or you help serve in our children's ministry, or help serve in our youth ministry, or you serve in our church, and you help give and support these ministries so that they can encounter God. And so I was thinking about one of the first teenagers in our first youth ministry was Janan Fitzpatrick. Wasn't Fitzpatrick then, right? And I was thinking about John and Janan. You know, John was one of the first youth leaders that began to help us in youth ministry. And Chad Armstrong, Danielle's dad, is another one that at that time that just jumped in to help in youth ministry. And both of them have been long-haul servants of Jesus and incredible leaders. But I was thinking about Janan. You know, John and Janan went on to lead in our children's ministry. Her and John have led the charge really in reaching the next generation for almost 15 years. That's unheard of, right? And you get around other churches and youth ministries, and you know there's a few leaders that have been around a little while, but lots of youth pastors and youth leaders, you know, serve for a couple years and then they're out. They're on to other things. But I think about just the diligence and faithfulness. John and Janan, one of those crazy middle school guys in those early years of youth ministry was William Welsh, right? And if you know Willie now, you know what an incredible time it was to try to rein that energy in when he was in middle school. And but now Will and his fiancee Heather serve in our kids ministry, serve in our youth ministry as leaders, and are just an incredible force for God and are such a blessing to so many young people. You know, Psalm 106 verse 1 says, "Praise the Lord, oh give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever." And I want you to realize this morning that God's faithfulness, God's mercy, God's grace, God's goodness, God's goodness endures. God's mercy endures. Through that time, through this time, through the times to come, I've come to realize that God's faithfulness is not going to run out. That's good news. Maybe you need reminded of that this morning. You know, God's not just getting to the end of his faithfulness. He didn't just use up the last little bit on all the other people, and he doesn't have much left for you and I. No, God's faithfulness, his mercy endures. His faithfulness is not coming to an end. The truth is, I feel like in many ways we're just getting started to see God's faithfulness, to see God's goodness. He's not through pouring out his blessings. He's not done with us yet. He's not through pouring himself out on our lives, on our families, on our church. He's not through with our community yet. His mercy truly does endure forever. I'm so thankful for the hope of his everlasting mercy. That means that we can expect that the mercy we've received in the past is the same mercy that is available to us today, and the same mercy that we'll be able to experience in the days and weeks and years ahead. Psalm 89 verse 1 says, I will sing of the mercies of the Lord forever. With my mouth I will make known your faithfulness to all generations. So now this is requiring something of us. We can't just sit by and allow all of these mercies to be experienced and not talk about them, not celebrate them, not sing about the goodness of our God, not testify of his faithfulness. So I'm just going to share quickly, just a couple minutes left this morning. What does it look like to proclaim Jesus for generations to come? First of all, we're going to live out our faith in the most relevant and uncompromising way possible. That's our commitment. That's how we're going to proclaim Jesus for generations to come. Number two, we're going to honor our heritage and learn from those who have gone before us. I think that's important. I didn't talk a whole lot about it this morning, but I think it's really, really important. Number three, we're going to ensure that the things of God that we've learned get passed on to the next generation. This is important, whether it's in your family or in the life of our church. That's why we're so passionate and involved in the next generation, because we really do believe that the things that we've learned should be passed on. Number four, to fight for those who are distracted, discouraged, and disconnected from God. I want us to realize and know that it's just as important how we're loving on and reaching the people outside of these walls as it is important that we're loving on and reaching and encouraging the people inside of these walls. So the church does not exist only for ourselves and only for the experience that we can get with God and only for the wisdom that we can gain, the growth that we can continue in. But our church exists for the outsider, for the person that's not here at all, for the person that hasn't been here in weeks or hasn't been here in months, for the person who's distracted or so discouraged they don't feel like that God cares about them or loves them. We exist for those who are away from God. It's the mission of our church. And lastly, number five, that we could be involved in building such a strong community of believers. Not just the community of believers, but such strong believers, individual believers. That these believers are actively influencing and impacting our community. These are the type of disciples that I believe God wants us to make right here in the life of our church. Young people, and as they get older, they're people of strong conviction, people that believe in the power of Jesus. And I think about those type of Christians, those type of believers, and I believe that you are that type of believer this morning, that influences the world around you, that influences the next generation, that are so convinced of God's faithfulness that you can't help but pass it on to other people, to your kids, to your grandkids, to your friends, to your neighbors. That's what this is all about, what it looks like to proclaim Jesus for generations to come. And so I'm gonna ask you as we close here, how has God been faithful to you? I want you to contemplate with these questions. Maybe you need to take a picture of these questions on the screen or pull up the notes and just even throughout this week just begin to mull these over in your heart. How has God rescued you? How has God transformed you? How has God shown you his mercy? How has God showed up in your family? And how has God made himself real to you? I think these are valid questions. I think as we begin to take time to answer these questions, we begin to take time to really honor and give thanks to God. Lastly, Psalm 100, verse 5. For the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting, and his truth endures to all generations. I love that. I love that. You say, well, what can I do? How could I really make a difference? Well, first and foremost, you could pray. You could pray more specifically for God to continue to work and move in the life of our church. You could just make it a regular part of your day to begin to think about and pray that God would continue to reach the people that he wants to reach through our church, through the ministries of our church. There's lots of things you could pray for. You could certainly pray for the strengthening of the people who are leading in our church. You could pray for God to continue to use our church mightily as a beacon of light, a beacon of hope in our community. Lots and lots of things you can begin to pray. And I want to tell you, there's lots of folks involved and engaged in prayer, and it's a tremendous foundation for everything that happens in the life of our church. You say, well, I'm praying, Pastor Shane. I'm with you. I'm in agreement. I'm praying. Maybe what else can I do? This is simple, but you could just get involved in serving. Many of you already are. And sometimes we need to be refreshed in the reality that our serving is what helps pave the way for people to connect with God. Could you imagine a church with no greeters and no one in a cafe to smile at them and serve them and welcome them into the house of God? Could you imagine a church with no worship team or no children's ministry or no youth ministry? All of those ministries and many, many more, they just require us to serve and help many times in just small ways, even just once a month, that we can help make a difference. We could also encourage, right? That's relational support. Sometimes people just need a smile. They just need someone to love on them. I just encourage you and I challenge you to even come into church and just kind of set what you need off to the side as you come in and just begin to open your eyes and look around for how you could encourage someone else. And I kind of double dog dare you just to experiment with this, because I honestly believe that if you'll focus on encouraging others, God will make sure that lots of people are sent to encourage you. And lastly, just to invest. I don't know what that looks like for you and your family, but I know many, many folks have made tremendous sacrifices to invest in our local church, to invest in what God is doing, to trust that God will provide and then return to God what the Bible says is his part. But even beyond that, to say, God, I want to see people reached and touched. I want to see this church move into the future in strength and with tremendous resource for what you want to do. And that takes people who believe in the mission of our church and who will commit to invest. As we close, I want to just ask you and encourage you to somehow identify at least one thing that God has done for you. And I'm going to ask you to take a step that may seem really bold, and I'm going to ask you to share that with us. There's some different ways you can do it. We should have put it on the screen this morning, but we didn't. But I'm just going to tell you, I want you to share at least something that God has done for you or your family. In the next few days or few weeks, you can jump on a social media platform and direct message. You can text. There's a church number, 937-382-2213. That's our main church line. It can receive texts. You can just send a text there. You can info@Family.Church. There's lots of different ways. I'm sure all those ways are online somewhere. You could even be bold enough to walk up to one of us, walk up to Pastor Tim or Pastor John or anyone in our church and say, hey, this is what God has done for me. I'm going to challenge you to be that bold. Now, first of all, I believe that God honors our thanksgiving, right? We've been talking about that today. But I also want us to realize that our testimony impacts and influences other people to see the goodness of God. And so over the next even few weeks, maybe even a few months, I'm just asking God and asking you to, let's just have an outpouring of testimonies. And let's not even stop after a few days or even after a few weeks. Let's just make it a regular part of our culture that we take time to recount and celebrate God's goodness and faithfulness. Amen. Amen. We're out of time. We're going to have to welcome the next service in a minute. So Pastor Tim, come and kick me off and pray and close this. That would be awesome.